Chairete, ophiloiente oikumene, posakete. Hello friends around the world, how is everyone doing? My name is Dr. David C. Noe, and I want to share with you a little lesson based on my study and reading from the Greek language, something I hope will improve and increase your enjoyment and appreciation and understanding of this beautiful language. So what we're going to look at today is a selection from 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 3 and 4. So this is Paul's letter to the Corinthians, the 12th chapter of the second letter, verses 3 through 4. And here's how it goes. Kai oida ton toiuton anthropon, ete en somati ete choris tu somatas uk oida, hotha as oiden, hoti herpage eis ton pare deson, kai ekusen ardreta chremata, hauk exon anthropo la leisai. Now, what does that mean? Well, let me share with you a couple of different translations, and then we're going to analyze some of the Greek and learn a few lessons. So first, let's look at the ESV. So the English Standard Version is pretty straightforward, and it would go something like this. And I know that this man was caught up into paradise, whether in the body or out of the body, I do not know, God knows. And he heard things that cannot be told, which man may not utter. So that's a pretty straightforward translation. It makes good sense. There's nothing surprising about that. Now let's look at a somewhat different translation, one that's more free. This is called the Names of God Bible. It goes by NOG, and here's the translation. I know that this person was snatched away to paradise, where he heard things that can't be expressed in words, things that humans cannot put into words. I don't know whether this happened to him physically or spiritually. Only God knows. Here's a third and final English translation before we examine some of the Greek and then also look at Theodore Beza's Latin. So this is from a translation with which I'm not familiar. It's called the New Matthew Bible, the NMB, and here is the translation. And I know the same man, whether in the body or out of the body, I cannot tell, God knows, how he was taken up into paradise and heard words not to be spoken, words which no man can utter. So how do these translations reflect the underlying Greek text? Well, let's take a look. The selection begins very easily with kai oida. Now this verb oida here is a first-person singular. It's a perfect indicative active verb, and this particular verb oida is called defective. It's defective because it doesn't have a full complement of principal parts. It begins with the fourth principal part. It's a perfective verb, and it means I know. So we have kai oida, ton toiuton anthropon. Now ton toiuton anthropon is a masculine singular accusative. I know that this man, ete, ete. Now we have two disjunctions. We have the disjunction ete, whether in the body, ete en somati, ete choris tu somatos, or apart from the body. So we have first the prepositional phrase en somati, and somati is neuter singular dative. Then we have the prepositional phrase choris tu somatos, and tu somatos is neuter singular genitive. At the end of this particular phrase, Paul says uk oida, I don't know, and then he says ha theos oiden, God knows. Oiden is from the same verb, but instead of being first singular, now it's third singular. So I know hoti, as we go on to verse 4, hoti herpage, that he was snatched up. Now this verb herpage, as the Liddell, Scott, and Jones lexicon tells us, is from harpazo, and it means to snatch away, to carry off, or to seize. And what we have here in herpage is a third singular, aorist indicative passive verb, that he was snatched away. And then we have another prepositional phrase. The New Testament, the Greek language, is heavy. The Koine dialect is heavy with prepositional phrases. Eis ton para deson was snatched away into paradise. Kai and ekusen, he heard. Now whereas herpage was a third singular, aorist indicative passive, ekusen, this verb, is a third singular, aorist indicative active. And it is from the verb akuo, which you can see right there, akuo. What did he hear? He heard ardreta chremata. And this is the point I want to focus on for just a moment. He heard ardreta chremata. Now, the direct object of the verb ekusen is chremata, that is, words. But phremata is being modified by ardreta, and it means unspeakable. Now, if you look at these two words together, ardreta and phremata, you might hear some kind of similarity in their sound. And that's because they are derived from the same stem. They're both taken from the verb lego, to speak. So phremata means the thing spoken, but ardreta, with the alpha privative, means things that can't be said. So this is a pun that Paul is using here. It's a play on words. He heard things said that can't be said. Ardreta phremata. Now we go to the Smythe Greek grammar, and we look, in fact, at section 3040. Here we find the figure of speech called paronomasia. Paronomasia. I've placed the section number of Smythe here and the brief definition. It's a pun or a play on words. How is Paul to express what this person saw in the upper heavens? Well, and what he heard ekusen, things that can't be heard, or things that can't be said. Ardreta phremata. Hey, before we finish this lesson, I want to take just a moment and invite you to consider the Greek course that I have developed. I have developed a system that will help you go from neophyte, little or no knowledge in Greek, to erudite, that is, to a high level of accomplishment and knowledge in this beautiful language. I started out many years ago myself with no knowledge of Greek. I didn't even know the alphabet. Now, by God's grace, I can read and enjoy the New Testament, Plato, Homer, Aristotle, and many other authors. You can do that too, and I can help you get started. Please go to MossMethod.com, MossMethod.com, I'll put it down here. Check out many of my free videos like this one, and also consider signing up for my course, which is self-paced, expert, and accessible. All right, so let's finish off this lesson. We have seen the Greek, we've analyzed it a little bit. The verse finishes with these words, kai ekusen ardreta phremata, and he heard things that can't be said, things things which it is not permitted, that's the uk exon, which it is not permitted for a man, anthropo, masculine singular dative, to say, lalesai, or to express. So as we finish off, let's look at what Theodore Beza did with this. So Theodore Beza is one of my favorite translators of the New Testament from Greek into Latin. I think in some ways he's much better than the Vulgate, and he also built on and developed some of Erasmus's ideas. So this is taken from his Annotationes in Novum Testamentum of 1598. And this is what he says. Et novi huius modi hominem, an in corpore, an extra corpus, nescio, Deus novit. Raptum fuisse in paradisum, et audissa ineffabilia verba, quae non liceat homini loqui. And, he says, Noe, and I know, huius modi hominem, a man of this time. Then notice how Beza construes these two prepositional phrases. Remember, in the Greek we had en to somati, and we had chorus tu somatos. Beza construes both of these with Latin prepositional phrases, in corpore, or extra corpus, in the body or outside of the body, nescio, I don't know. Deus novit, God knows, he says. And then for the rest of it, we'll focus just on the paronomasia. Remember the pun or the play on words. Remember that the Greek is ekusen, he heard, ardreta phremata, we can put this up here, he heard ekusen, ardreta phremata, and Beza translates this as such. Audisse, with the infinitive, ineffabilia, inexpressible, ineffabilia verba, inexpressible words. So Beza perhaps didn't quite capture the pun or the play on words, but the meaning is still there, words that cannot be expressed. Listen, if you liked this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. Click the bell. Again, check out MossMethod.com to get more free instruction like this and perhaps to sign up for the course. And remember, oftentimes it is the case that kalapa ta kala. Beautiful things are difficult.